I do too many hobbies, and I actually found a system that works without burning out. It all started when I got obsessed with the idea of being a polymath. A polymath isn't a jack of all trades. There's someone who's good at a couple different skills. For example, think about Leonardo da Vinci. He could paint, invent, and study physics all at the same time. And I wanted to do that too. I wanted to draw and do art, play chess, skateboard, learn a language, and even have the time to watch movies without all of it being overwhelming. So I asked myself, is there a way to get good at multiple hobbies even with limited time? And I've been experimenting with this for a good couple months, and this is the framework I came up with, and it actually works. See, Da Vinci actually kept a journal in which he documented everything he was working on. For a few months, he'd be completely obsessed with developing one skill. Then after a while, he might do nothing at all, before his curiosity sparked again and he started exploring a new hobby that fascinated him. He focused deeply and passionately about the few things he was working on at the time, and when something else caught his interest, he'd naturally follow that curiosity instead, and leaving the others for later. Rule of thumb, follow your natural curiosity and inspiration, and let that passion drive you. Naval Ravikant, who's an angel investor, business guy, super successful dude, talks about how inspiration is perishable. He says if you feel the inspiration to read a novel, do it right there. If you feel like writing, write. If you feel like reading, then read in that moment. Because if you try to schedule it for later in the day, when that moment comes, you're not going to feel that passion or inspiration anymore, and you won't be as effective when you do that task than if you did it in the moment when you're inspired. What I learned from this is that being a polymath or having multiple hobbies you're good at doesn't mean that you do all 10 in the span of one day or even a week. It's about choosing to focus on the few that tickles your fancy with great depth for a certain period of time before rotating to the next set of hobbies, which means you'll actually make progress. A practical step that really helped me is that I wrote down all my hobbies, and then I prioritized the couple I want to focus on for this period, be it a few weeks, for the next few months. It depends on the situation. As for the rest, I put them in a later list. I do these when my curiosity points towards them at a later point in time. And speaking of hobbies, one of the best ones out there is simply learning new skills, learning more knowledge. And I've been doing that through Skillshare, which is a sponsor of today's video. Right now I'm taking an introduction to the art of figure drawing by Brenton Aviston. Sure, I've been drawing for a good while, but I really wanted to improve my skill of sketching people in particular. Brent makes it approachable. He focuses on movement, the energy, and quick strokes. Since starting it, I've been sketching more, feeling more confident with my lines, and it's actually just become fun to sit down and draw. Unlike before when it was a bit more stressful. What I like about Skillshare is that it's not just one thing. You can explore art and illustration, animation, photography, graphic design, and even productivity. Skillshare has creative classes for hobbyists, creative professionals, and literally everyone in between. You learn from experts who actually do the work. And what I absolutely love is that the classes are super short and yet so informative and concise. And with each session, you learn so much and improve. The first 500 people to use my link in the description or scan the QR code will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare, plus 20% off your first year. Get started today. Thank you Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Now, despite cutting down a lot of hobbies and prioritizing just a few, I still found that my plate was still full. Cal Newport talks about this in his book, Slow Productivity. He says we have so much to do and such little time. And the solution he offers is to automate as much of the things you have to do so that you don't have to think about it and it becomes such a normal part of your life, like brushing your teeth. The more you do these hobbies, the less time you take for them and the more time you have to accommodate your busy schedule. The key word here is routines. You want to make your hobby into a ritual, and rituals have a specific time and place. And the worst thing you can do is tell yourself you'll do it sometime next week, because that's never coming. That time is never coming. You're never going to do it, dude. To automate my hobbies, what I did is choose 1 or 2 hobbies and make that as a non-negotiable part of my everyday. We all have morning and evening routines, whether you know it or not. And I'm sure you can afford to wake up like 30 minutes earlier, or instead of scrolling before you go to bed at night, you can just do your hobby instead, or choose some other part of the day that is more suitable. Out of my hobbies, I decided to make 2 of them daily habits, and I assign my most important habits to the morning and evening so it becomes a regular practice. So in the morning I journal and then I learn a language, which is
Saúde,
Brazilian
mas
Portuguese.
é difícil comer.
Entendo. Às vezes.
In the evening, I always read before I go to bed. And now these hobbies, which I dreamed of doing and acquiring skills in, have just simply become a part of my day that I don't think about. And yet, over the long term, I'm making a considerable amount of progress in both of these. If these weren't rituals or routines that I did every day, I'd have to constantly worry about scheduling and finding time to do it in my day. I'll be like, oh my gosh, when do I do Portuguese today? And that itself wastes time. So just define when you want to do it. As for certain other hobbies that I can't afford to do every day, I schedule specific times of the week to do it. For example, I go to the gym on a Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday strictly, at the same time every time. Because it's so clear in my head, I just do it when that time comes. As for other hobbies, I try to overlap them with other habits to save time. For example, when I drive or commute, I listen to podcasts because it's one of my goals to learn more about the world and increase my knowledge. And you've got to admit it, if you do have so many hobbies, you are going to face the fact that time is so limited. And so if you overlap your habits as much as you can achieve them all. Anyways, that's all from me today. Take care and bye.